Basically, it is a viral infection, and the main organ that is affected in COVID-19 infection is the lungs. As we all know, whenever a patient acquires this COVID-19, it is through the respiratory system, that is the aerosols or the viruses, they are inhaled in the respiratory system, and once they are inside the lungs, they start causing the damage. But it's not like that if it is affecting lungs mainly, it cannot affect other organs. So heart is definitely affected. With whatever studies we have till now, with the experience world over, mainly from China and other Western countries, it has been found that almost 30% of the patients who were admitted with this infection, they did have cardiac presentation. Now, when I say cardiac involvement, it can be in different forms. The most commonest form that is they are coming across is patient getting chest pain, having decrease in the blood pressure and increase in the heart rate. In medical terminology, if I have to talk, there are different cardiac presentations that can be myocarditis, that is the virus affecting the muscles of the heart. It can be the myocardial infarction, or what we call it as heart attack. Now, the pathogenesis or the mechanism by which this virus causes heart attack, it has been described. It is said that because of the infection in the body, there is increase in the stress in the body that leads to increase in the release of the hormones. Those are catecholamines, what we call it as, that is adrenaline and noradrenaline. And because of this increase in the hormones, there is increased workload on the heart, and that precipitates a heart attack. Then there is increased tendency of formation of blood clots in the blood vessels of the heart and in the lungs. And then rarely patient can present with deep vein thrombosis or the blood clot formation in the lower limbs, which can migrate to the lungs and cause pulmonary embolism. Some of the patients did present with sudden increase in the heart rate. We all know our resting heart rate is like 70, 80, 90. When we exert, when we have any kind of stress, it increases to 140, 150. But in certain conditions, this heart rate goes to suddenly to 200 or 250. Now, whenever the heart rate increases to 200 and 250, the effective pumping of the heart goes down and there is sudden drop in the blood pressure. In medical terminology, we call it as ventricular tachycardia. And if not treated immediately, this ventricular tachycardia leads to sudden death. So many of the patients did present with sudden cardiac death and what we call it as ventricular tachycardia. So these are the different presentations of the COVID-19 as far as heart is involved. So we all know this COVID-19, it is more commonly seen in patients who have different comorbidities. That can be diabetes, that can be hypertension. Already if a patient is suffering from heart disease in the form of old heart attack, or if patient had heart failure in the past, these are the patients who are more prone for the COVID-19 infection. And the complication rates are also more prominent in this subgroup. So definitely we all, I mean, the patients who have this heart disease will always try to prevent this the COVID-19 infection so that they don't have to face all these complications. Now, basic guidelines, those have been issued by different heart societies, American Heart Association, European Society, CDC, and the Indian government. They emphasize at prevention of the infection. So by prevention, what we need to do are the basic steps we have to take. One thing is social distancing. The patients who have heart disease, they should try hard to avoid contact with other general public so that the risk of acquiring this infection goes down. Whenever we are stepping out of our houses, the masks should be used, preferably N95 mask, which has found to be most effective. But if not available, a triple layer surgical mask or even a cloth or linen mask would suffice if at all we are using it properly. So if a patient has got heart disease, he should see to it to avoid stepping out of his house. And if at all he is stepping out, he should use mask compulsorily. Whenever out of the house premises, they should take care that they avoid coming in close contact with any other injured individual, and especially those who have symptoms of flu or the COVID-19 infection. Now, the patients who have heart disease should not miss their tablets. They have to take it very regularly, and each and every pill is important. Let's say if a patient is suffering from heart disease and he has got associated diabetes and hypertension, and if patient misses his diabetic medication or blood pressure medication, that would lead to derangement of the sugars and the blood pressure. That would further increase the risk of complication in this subset. Now, there was some discussion about certain medications increasing the risk of COVID-19, but all the studies, trials, those have been published, they have shown there is nothing like that. So the special group of agents like ACE inhibitors and ARBs, which were thought to increase the risk of COVID-19 infections, are no more thought to do that. And so patients should not think of stopping any of their medications or change any medications. They need to continue it very, very regularly. If at all a patient of heart disease, because of this stress or because of any other reason, feels to have any symptom like chest pain, breathlessness, loss of consciousness, swelling in the legs, they should immediately contact their doctor, the treating cardiologist, and get the things treated immediately. So again, when we talk of healthy heart, we always want certain few activities or the points to be noted. First and foremost thing would be probably regular exercise. We all know because of the lockdowns and because of the risk of infection, we are not stepping out of our houses. And so whatever daily exercises, the routine, the physical activities have gone down significantly. So we have to ensure that whenever we are at home, we are regularly doing alternative form of exercises so as to keep ourselves healthy. Now, whenever we have a patient with heart disease, or for that matter, every individual, our aim is to do physical activity of moderate severity or vigorousness for 30 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week. Now, when I say 30 minutes exercise, our aim is to maintain heart rate above 120 for these 30 minutes, and we have to ensure that we are doing it daily, at least 5 days a week. Now, the form of exercise can be walking on a treadmill or using an exercise bicycle, doing yoga, pranayama, or some other form of exercise that is feasible at home or in our surrounding. Even if we don't have all these machineries available, even walking or jogging over the terrace or in our courtyard would suffice. But we have to see to it that we do our exercises daily. See to it not only in the morning, throughout the day, we keep on walking every after hour or two so as to burn sufficient calories and avoid weight gain. Now, second important point would be, as I had highlighted, to take medicines properly. It's not like if my blood pressure is fine, my sugars are fine, I'll be lenient about the medications. If we take all the prescribed medicines properly, probably BP and sugar would be controlled. We have to monitor our weight regularly. Now, in lockdowns and decreased activity, we tend to have more junk food and frequent small meals and decrease in the activities that can lead to weight gain. So we have to see to it we are avoiding that. Diet is very, very important. Whether we are at home or at our work, we have to take care that we are taking proper diet. As we all know, in heart disease patients, we avoid high caloric diet, we avoid fatty substances, we avoid too much of salts and too much of sweets. So we have to take care even during these lockdowns. We continue with the same dietary restrictions and restrict salt and even fluid intake if it has been advised. There's a lot of discussion about maintaining good hydration. See, when we say good hydration, that doesn't mean we keep on drinking water 24 by 7. We have to see how much water and fluids we are taking in. If a patient has got old myocardial infarction or history of heart attack, if patient is known to have weak heart, by weak heart, I mean the pumping power of heart is low as compared to normal. In such patients, if there is overhydration, if there is excess of fluid consumption, that can be very harmful. So we have to measure the fluids. And if at all any doubt, you can contact your doctor and ask him what is the ideal fluid intake that it is recommended. Normally, if a patient has got weak heart, we do recommend the total fluid intake, inclusive of all the liquids that we are consuming, should not cross 2 liters in summer and 1.5 liters in winters. So we have to take care about the amount of fluid that is being taken in 24 hours, and accordingly things should be monitored. So if we take into consideration these small steps, probably we'll be able to keep our heart healthy during this phase. One more important thing which is neglected is mental stress. We all know with a lot of discussion about COVID, a lot of negative news, those are coming up. If you open up our news channels, if you look into your mobiles, in WhatsApp and messages everywhere, there is discussion about the pandemic, COVID pandemic, the uh, health hazards it is causing, the mortality it is causing, the financial losses, and there's a lot of stress. So we have to see to it that we keep ourselves calm. There has to be some mental relaxation activity in the form of yoga, meditation, music, or any other hobbies that we can inculcate and follow during this period, so as to keep ourselves calm and avoid the mental stress which can lead to increase in the blood pressure, increase in the sugars, and can precipitate a heart attack. When we talk of blood pressure, it means the normal recordings of the blood pressure, those are there. Those are higher than what is normal. We say the normal blood pressure is 120 by 80, but for treatment, we always target that blood pressure is maintained less than 140 by 90 and preferably less than 130 by 80. 130 systolic and 80 millimeters of mercury diastolic. Now, there are many of us who are suffering from hypertension for years together, and we have been started on medications to control this blood pressure. Now, whenever we have a scenario wherein there is a lot of stress, there is tension, these blood pressures are ought to increase. So that can precipitate the negative effects or the complications of increased blood pressure. Now, the negative effects or the complications of hypertension are there can be headache, there can be blurring of vision, there can be increased risk of myocardial infarction or heart attack. Increased blood pressure can cause negative effects to the kidneys, it can cause negative effects to the eyes, and rarely, if there is sudden surge in the blood pressure, it can lead to brain hemorrhage or pulmonary edema, that is fluid collection in the lungs. So, if a patient is hypertensive, we do recommend them to take these medications, the blood pressure medications, very, very regularly. And when we are at home, if it is like we are not going to our doctors regularly for routine follow-up, we do check blood pressure at home at least once in a week and see to it the recordings are within normal limits. Let's say if we stop our BP medications or the blood pressure medications, that would lead to increase in the blood pressures, and that can sometimes lead to a very fatal complication in the form of brain hemorrhage or myocardial infarction. Now, when we are recording the blood pressure at home, we should check it early morning whenever we get up and when we are very mentally relaxed. When we are checking our blood pressure, we should see to it that our body is physically relaxed. We are lying down comfortably on our back in our bed. Then the machine which we use, it should be at the level of heart, and we should not be wearing any tight clothes. Avoid using tea, coffee, or any nicotine product like smoking or tobacco at least half an hour before the blood pressure, and we should not check blood pressure immediately after a heavy physical activity. Normally, blood pressure should be checked before our morning exercises. Let's say with all these due precautions, we check our blood pressure, and the blood pressure comes to be more than 140 by 90. We should repeat check it after 5 to 10 minutes. And if it happens like blood pressure is persistently maintained more than 140 by 90, that means probably we are not taking adequate medications or the adequate dietary restrictions, those have been advised. So you should immediately check how much is the salt intake that you are taking in 24 hours. See to it that whether you are mentally relaxed, and if still after all these actions, if blood pressures are high, then you should call your doctor and take his help to better control the blood pressure. There was some discussion about certain group of hypertension medications or the BP medications increasing the risk of COVID infection. So two groups of medications, that is ACE inhibitor and ARBs. These are the two group of medications. Those were thought to increase the risk of COVID infection. And initially, some case reports mentioned that patients who were taking these medications, they had higher risk of occurrence of COVID-19. But with so many patients coming up now and the data that is published from all these studies world over, it has been very well established that there is nothing like these medications are increasing the risk of infection. And so these medications have been found to be very safe. And American Heart Association, which is supposed to be the most prominent and most eminent body world over, giving guidelines for management of hypertension and heart disease, has recommended to continue these medications uninterrupted. There is no need to change them. First and foremost thing is whenever a patient is diagnosed to have COVID-19 infection, the first thing he should do is if he comes to know, he has to go and immediately consult the treating doctor. The government has uh, made a lot of facilities available. So if a patient comes to know or suspects to have COVID-19, the most important thing is he should not sit at home. He should quarantine, isolate himself, and immediately go and get the treatment at the provided or the identified hospitals. Now, after the severity, according to the severity of the disease, the doctor at the COVID center or the COVID treating hospital will guide them as to what type of treatment from COVID's perspective they will need. Third thing is, let's say if a patient is not very severely affected and if at all it happens like the doctor there do suggest them to take treatment at home. In that case, there is no need to change the medications. But in most of the scenarios, as of today, all the patients who are diagnosed to have COVID-19 infections, they will be admitted to the COVID-19 hospitals wherever they are. And probably the doctors who are treating will take due precautions according to BP readings. If at all they need to change any medications, they'll definitely change it. Because it is known if a patient gets a severe COVID infection, the blood pressures may fall, the blood pressures may go down. In such scenarios, they may have to stop the hypertension medications if at all required. But I don't think so. If you are very comfortable, if you don't have any symptoms of COVID-19, you need not change your antihypertensive medications. You have to continue same. When I look at a diabetic patient with heart disease, they have what we call it as double whammy, or they have two comorbidities. Now, diabetes and heart disease most of times go hand in hand. 60% of the diabetics do have heart disease, and probably two-thirds of the heart disease patients do have diabetes as the risk factor. So this co-association is very common. Now, when we think in terms of preventive measures, probably if a patient has got heart disease and diabetes, he'll be at highest risk of acquiring an infection. And second problem would be if at all such patients get COVID infection, the risk of complications would be tremendously high in this subset. So they have to make it a point that they do make it compulsory that if possible they don't step out of their homes and houses. And second thing would be to take all the due precautions, take medicines very regularly and strictly follow the medications and the dietary guidelines those have been advised. One important thing is if such patients get slightest of the symptoms, they should contact their treating doctors or their family physicians and get things clear whether the symptoms whatever they are getting, whether they are because of normal flu, seasonal flu, or any other thing, or whether they are suffering from COVID-19. Because in such subset, if we diagnose the disease early and start treatment early, probably it can prevent a lot of major complications. So when we talk of dietary modifications with this pandemic around, probably our main aim would be to boost our immunity. There has been a lot of discussion about how we can boost our immunity. If you ask me, probably taking the healthy, nutritious Indian diet, a balanced diet, would take care of everything. So when I say healthy, nutritious Indian diet, it should have lots of vegetables and fruits. Now, vegetables, when we eat in the form of salads, which will give us a lot of nutrients and especially vitamins, we have to see to it that they are washed properly and they have been handled properly. There's always a risk of transmission of disease if this raw food stuffs like raw salads and raw fruits, if we eat and if we don't wash them properly. So whenever we get these vegetables and fruits in our houses or home, we should wash them properly, clean them, and then only eat them. Having a lot of fruits and vegetables in diet is one thing that would maintain good hydration also, and that will take care of immunity also. Second part would be to avoid frequent junk foods and frequent short meals. We tend to see that whenever we are at home, probably there is increase in the diet and we do have a lot of fried stuffs and a lot of junk food. So we have to see to it that in spite of we being free, a lot of leisure time, we don't spend too much of time in our kitchens and having these junk foods. Third thing would be maintaining good hydration. I'm not saying over hydration, it should be adequate. With summers around, there's a lot of sweating, there's risk of dehydration. So we have to see to it that we take adequate diet according to the condition of the heart. Your doctors must have suggested you what kind of hydration is good for you. We have to see to it that such kind of hydration is well maintained and adequate calorie intake is advisable. It should not be less, but it should not be too much. We can modify our diet in such a way that we have less of fats, more of proteins, and adequate carbohydrates. If we take such care, probably things would be well maintained. When we talk of World Hypertension Day, why this World Hypertension Day is being celebrated? The logic or the idea of having such World Hypertension Day is to increase awareness about the blood pressure. You will be surprised to know that in spite of so much advancement in the medical science with improved literacy, still only 10% of the people who are suffering from hypertension are being treated adequately. Now, see, diagnosis of hypertension is a very basic thing. It doesn't require too much of hi-fi machineries or tests. It can be very well diagnosed. It can be diagnosed even at the level of primary healthcare center, wherein there are no advanced technologies, those are available. But in spite of this, only 1/3 of the patients of all are knowing that they are suffering from hypertension. Now, out of this 1/3, only 1/9 of the patients are being adequately treated. So, my basic message on this World Hypertension Day would be, let's identify as many patients with hypertension as possible so as to prevent the long-term complication of this disease. Hypertension is known as slow killer. If we have hypertension for a long time, let's say for 8 to 10 years, and if it is not adequately treated, it affects almost every organ. See, when we talk of a disease of a particular organ, let's say heart disease, kidney disease, it is affecting only one organ. But when we say hypertension, it is like increasing the blood pressure. And when we say blood pressure, it is the pressure in the blood vessels. Now, blood pressures are there in all the organs from head to toe. So when we say blood pressure, it is probably the affection of all the organs of the body. So if we have uncontrolled or untreated hypertension, it is going to complicate each and every system of the body. So we have to ensure that we identify blood pressure patients at the earliest when and treat them adequately. So if we have a person who is more than 35 years, I'll request them to check their blood pressure every at least 3 monthly, and if they find that their blood pressures are more than normal ranges. So let's say if the blood pressure recordings are more than 130 by 80 at home or 140 by 90 in doctor's clinic, probably they need to be cautious about their blood pressure readings. They need to have their lifestyle modifications, and then if required, they need to take medications.